Nolan Traoré from France might be the 2025 NBA Draft's best point guard. This is Florence Sealing, let's break him down. What separates Nolan Traoré from the rest of the pack early on is his first step and his driving ability. This explosion downhill is his standout trait, and it really pops in live action. Traoré can turn the corner on defenders, going both left and right, and he racks up paint touches with immense ease for his age. Once he goes from Europe to the NBA, the French point guard will face a step up in athleticism, but for now, Traoré does look legitimately quick off the dribble. I like how he shows some signs of craft already, which is good because I consider him to be more of a below-the-rim finisher. The 18-year-old is not unathletic per se in terms of vertical explosion, but he's also not dunking on defenders or soaring super high. Rather, I like how he gets low on his dribble to avoid bigs contesting or blocking him, and overall, Traoré is adept at combining his body control with scoop or extension finishes to play around length and in traffic. Traoré was listed at 184 pounds earlier this year, so that definitely means that there is room to get stronger. He can't move defenders out of the way right now, but to his credit, he plays with contact. That doesn't mean that he's playing through defenders, but instead, Traoré is willing to bump and finish, or he's willing to get to the free throw line and play physical, all of which bodes well for him in the future. Up to this point in his career, defenses have found it incredibly challenging to stay in front of him. If Traoré doesn't take them on one-on-one, he knows how to use a screen to get to his spots and take advantage of that. As Traoré's season in the French league gets started, in fact, his first game was a few days ago now, one of the things that I'll be closely tracking is how he performs against bigs who play in a deep drop or who really prefer to hang back at the rim. In these situations, Traoré's speed can be cancelled out to some extent, and his only average vertical pop becomes more of a factor. As I just said, Traoré does play tough, but he still lacks an extra degree of strength and physicality. Again, once that step up to the NBA comes next summer, he'll have to deal with stronger, quicker, longer, bigger defenders, so this is very important. Broadly speaking, I like what I've seen so far, but the only issues that the French guard has truly faced right now have come against NBA-type athletes like the ones Real Madrid or Barcelona have at lower levels. In his first game of the season against Monaco earlier this Friday, Traoré went 1 for 9 from the field, so I will be closely monitoring his efficiency all year. Something else to really like about Traoré is how he's a pull-up threat from the mid-range. He already seems comfortable using screens, and he knows how to employ shot fakes, body feints, or snaking the pick and roll to create separation. I just brought up how I want to see Traoré's finishing against deep drops because he can still struggle at playing through bigs and over length, but this mid-range ability does have the means to offset that. Traoré's pace and cadence is good to see. He doesn't force the issue almost ever. If he can't find an opening or he wants a better angle, simply he'll pass the ball off and reset. He doesn't turn 19 until next summer, so this maturity and poise does pop. When Traoré has to shoot over a big or a longer wing, then he's effective at falling away on his shot. Generally, really, this speaks to how effective he can be at creating space before rising into his jumper. At this stage of his development, I probably prefer how Traoré operates coming out of screens rather than in ISO situations. He gets some help creating space already through the pick, and then he can be matched up against a slower-footed defender to either drive, which I prefer, or shoot. Looking down the line, in a few seasons though, I do think it makes sense to project the French prospect as a guard who will be able to punish defenders on an island with his pull-up and dribble combinations. That said though, I'm not sure Traoré looks as comfortable from 3, so this is something else to monitor over the course of the season. To his credit, Traoré is a willing shooter, In 9 games for Saint-Quentin last season, he shot more than 3 triples per game, and in 27 games for INSEP, he attempted about 6 threes a night. However, the conversion isn't quite there. Putting together both competitions, Traoré shot 30% from deep. I'd like to see the Frenchman show off more range because I've noticed that his misses can come short, hitting the front of the rim fairly often, or at least to an extent where I did pick up on it. Defenses are afraid of Traoré when he wants to get downhill, but as a perimeter shooter, they definitely don't fear him just yet. I don't really see teams scrambling to recover if they miscommunicate on a screen and Traoré pulls up, or rushing to get over a pick to contest a potential pull-up. Just a few moments ago, we saw how Traoré's mid-range pull-up can be a weapon against bigs in drop, but when bigs or big wings switch on Traoré beyond the three-point line, he doesn't make them pay the same way. There's been some flashes of a step back, mostly to his left, but I will be looking for more this upcoming season at Saint-Quentin. Sticking to the three-point line, Traoré doesn't really spot up or catch and shoot that much. There's nothing necessarily wrong with this per se, but it's context that we must know for how he fits around different teammates and team needs. Traoré is a high-volume ball handler who racks up touches on the ball, but a big part of that so far is because he's been relied on to do so much offensively. Even at Saint-Quentin last season, when he was coming off the bench, essentially it was to be a spark plug primary guard rather than to sit in the corner like many other 17 and 18-year-olds. For evaluation purposes, in a way, this does raise Traoré's floor since that sixth man role definitely exists in the NBA. But in full honesty, there's also been more of a trend lately about organizations valuing guards with greater on and off ball versatility that Traoré hasn't quite shown himself to have just yet. Diving into his passing, Traoré uses screens and paint touches in order to facilitate for others. Starting in the pick and roll, the French point guard is patient, and most of all, he's very functional. He plays under control rather than with pizzazz, but there's absolutely nothing wrong with this functionality. Traoré is making the passes that NBA teams look for, and that he creates easy looks for his bigs at the basket. To do this, he can pass over the top using his positional size, but he's also quite accurate at sneaking in bounce passes in the pocket. Last season, while considering that this is a small sample size we're dealing with, Traoré averaged about 6 assists to 3 turnovers. In his first game of this year, he had 3 assists to 4 turnovers, but I would expect his overall average to look pretty similar to how it did. Down the line, and this might sound like a given, Traoré should also look better in NBA spacing. Until now, our biggest sample size of his has been his play with INSEP, where he often shared the floor with 1 or 2 non-shooters. But given how easy he can find it to get into the lane and then in the paint, the means should be there for Traoré to maximize his playmaking even more once he's surrounded by more dangerous perimeter threats. On that note, I also find that Traoré constantly generates good shots from the three-point line. Usually, this will happen after he gets deep position in the paint and sprays the ball out. He collapses defenses and forces them to enter rotation while being a skilled enough playmaker to pass accurately while on the move and out of a live dribble. The French point guard also executes simpler reads like spotting an overhelp or a corner shooter who's lifting to the wing. I'll be watching to see if the 18-year-old can cut down on some of his more avoidable turnovers, but to be fair, he's super young and he's playing on the ball a ton. Traoré can misread the size of passing windows sometimes or slightly predetermine what he's going to do, but in general, I feel good about his passing as a lead guard. For now, I'm not sure that there's that much to comment on about Nolan Traoré's defense. This is something where I really believe that a bigger sample size is needed because an entire season as a pro is way more demanding than any context the Frenchman has been in so far. Broadly though, I think Traoré holds up well on the ball when he's engaged. He can keep his man in front and then use his 6'8" wingspan to contest pull-ups. At lower levels, he would pick up ball handlers full court here and there and really rush them or get into their dribble. but those flashes have not translated to Saint-Quentin so far, and last season, Traoré had 4 steals and 0 blocks in 189 pro minutes. Should Traoré carry a lesser offensive load in the future, then his defense might crank up a notch or two. He measures well positionally, but like I mentioned at the start of this video, getting stronger will be important, and until now, I haven't really seen many signs of off-ball activity. As always, if you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like, make sure to leave a comment telling me what you think about Nolan Traoré, and if you want to watch more content like this, make sure to subscribe. Take care and stay tuned for a big announcement about Floor and Ceiling later this week.